for you, is there any proper way for me to handle this thing now the way it is?
Whatever you feel safe. I mean, the way I'm going to remove it, I'm going to physically. Now, the blanket, can it come with it?
Yeah,
I can always return it. You know, ship it back.
It's fine. I'll buy her another one if we have to.
Do it already. All right, so what we're going to do here now, he's going to try touching the mirror. We're going to see what happens. We're getting all kinds of readings off the mirror with the K2.
Oh boy. I just feel really anxious.
Look at these readings off this.
That's as long as I'm going to touch it. As long as I feel comfortable touching it.
Yes, I don't blame you.
Getting that sick feeling again.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh gosh, it gives me the chills, man, as it's coming by. Yeah, what up?
All right, since I've got it going, explain to me what you believe is trapped in this mirror.
What Apparition Paranormal Investigations believe is trapped in this mirror is a very unhappy demon. There are routes that we took. You know, we took the scientific route. Our job is to disprove first through science and recreation. First, to disprove. There are routes that took us to the actual demonic section of this investigation. A lot of physical harm, a lot of physical abuse, mental abuse. Also possessions inside his home. This thing that's in the mirror is not happy. It doesn't like anybody in this home. It doesn't like anybody. It's a very dangerous and nasty thing. It's neither he or she, and to me, it is what we call biblical. When you're dealing with these kind of dark energies, unfortunately, if you don't believe in religious preference, this thing in here will definitely make you believe in something.
Yeah, we're getting all kinds of activity now since we've been here. As soon as I got here to meet you guys, I was picking up activity just around the house, which is odd. I mean, there's some power lines that are away from the house here. I did not find there's going to be a buried line coming in at some point, but I'm picking up a 0.3 to 0.5 around the house. Inside, it's actually quieter.
Yeah.
I mean, the room in here, I was getting a 0.3 until I get anywhere near this thing, and this thing's just screaming here.
This mirror will make you sick. This mirror will make you sick, and I would suggest that if you look into it, that it's your own fault. If that's what you're gonna do, I would suggest people to sign something or.
And we say every time we get near the mirror, we're getting some activity. It kind of comes and goes, but that's what you're looking for. If it was constant, I would assume it's some electronics in the place.
Just the feeling I get off of it with it's almost like electromagnetic energy or like a static charge.
And as soon as you open that closet door, I could feel it.
You could feel the static charge in that closet.
I mean, there was a little bit of a build up to it, but still.
When the pastor was doing his thing, you could literally watch this thing retreat, and he came in here. That's why I met him in the bathroom. The last final ditch effort was the conduit, which was Dolores. She was saying exactly where this thing was as we were seeing it. So the last ditch effort was to come in here and run away and to go back into this thing to try to do whatever he wanted to do. We call it recharging. Kind of just running away from us, getting his energy and coming back.
Right.
But at that point, I honestly thought that there was no recharging for him. He was already at his full capacity. He could do whatever he wanted to. He crossed boundary lines that he should never have crossed to begin with. That should have been safe. So with that, he retreated back into here at that night, and we did our best to seal that mirror and put the word of God and Jesus Christ onto this mirror And evidently it worked. I mean, we
You've
did what we
something there.
we did what we knew how to do, and how to do it the way we know how. So, the best way, and it proved correct. So, but I get nauseous even just touching this mirror, you know. But I refuse to look into it at the moment. And maybe just a little residual fear on my part too, as well. But
I wish I could feel the fear sitting in on
but
me.
it just creeps up on you and sits on top of your shoulders, and you're just like, it's not even like when you get scared of a haunted house. This is like 20-fold. It just sits on you, and it's this dark, repressing feeling.
It's heavy.
It's heavy.
Now, when I first got here, you didn't even want to come into the house until everyone else got here.
No, because of certain instances that happened with it. And like right now, it's doing it again right now. I can feel it because it's making me emotional right now. My eyes are starting to water. And it's because the link that we have together throughout this whole entire investigation, that I was kind of the protector over her, and this thing was hitting me like a ton of bricks emotionally to chase me out of the house so it can get to her. And on one night that we were here, she was on the bed, and it was me and another girl in the living room looking into the bedroom while everyone else was outside, and the door just slammed. It should have came off the hinges.
So this door right here.
This door right here.
Really hard.
And it was going after her. And then Dolores, the conduit, even pointed her out that this thing in the mirror wanted her, and then singled me out also, that it wanted me. But it didn't want me, it was scaring me more than wanting to do harm to me, because it wanted to separate us two to get to her. And then it was like the same thing I was telling you outside with the video, and I got to show you this, where once Dolores got up out of the chair and we're taking her outside, you can hear it on EVP, and you can hear it on the video recording of whatever this is was talking and following Dolores out the door. And then when she was standing at the door filming them outside, you can hear it talking right next to her. And it was a disembodied voice. But with all the commotion that was going on at the time, nobody could hear it until I reviewed the video and everything. But yeah, this thing here, if someone's ballsy enough to stare into that mirror, then I wish them the best of luck, because this mirror is nothing. I've been to Zach Baggins' museum. I've looked into the mirror over there several times for several minutes. But this mirror here will make his mirror in his museum look like child's play.
And they'll touch off on yours, that way we get the complete story. Unfortunately, we did an experiment where she was in here. We always had somebody close by, or we do teams of two, because we never know what we're going to deal with, and it's just a safety precaution that I have set standard for this team. Frank was sitting in if you're out in the living room right now, in the right chair. The furniture was rearranged a little bit differently. He was sitting in the right, and one of our another great investigator we have, Erica, she was sitting in the left chair. I was sitting outside. Stephanie, the mom, was on the porch talking to Dolores. And it's funny that she was on the phone with Dolores when all this stuff happened. She was talking, and all of a sudden this door slammed. And I heard it from way out there, and Ashley was screaming. And they're yelling, "Rob, Rob, come help us." So I came in, but everything felt like slow motion. And I know fight or flight kicks in, but I'm a fireman by trade, so that's what I do full time. So I'm used to hearing people screaming car wrecks, just the most horrific things. But this type of screaming, everything just slowed down very slowly. It took me a long time, felt like, to get through that doorway. And as soon as I did, it was just bam, it just hit you. And no matter what fear you had or what anxiety you had to push through it, because now we were in trouble. We were being physically attacked. I came in here first to get her out of this room. And I mean, when I say I kicked that door open, I kicked that door open and I grabbed her as quick as I could. But what I thought I saw, and whether she realizes or not, is that she was up here, but it looked like she was being pulled down this bed a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my feet.
And that's when I knew that we were in trouble, but Frank and Erica were being held down in those chairs.
We couldn't move.
They could not move.
We were completely held down.
And you're saying something was actually pulling your feet?
Oh yeah, and like I was sitting right about here towards the middle, and my feet were facing here. I just remember him coming in, and I was just shaking, just visibly just shaking. And it's almost like a blur now, but I just remember sitting here, and then my feet, like, and prior to this happening, Dolores had mentioned that she kept seeing a figure standing by the doorway. And shortly after that, you could feel the bed started not shaking like it was bouncing, it was like pulling back and forth. And that was just a couple minutes, I would say, before that happened, before that door slammed.
And it kind of makes sense. So what we come to realize in this case, and what we think we understand about this here, is that it was identified as an incubus succubi. Everybody has their outlooks and understandings on incubus and succubus, but to me they're all the same. They can just transform itself to identify with that individual, whatever your preference is, or it doesn't matter what your preference is. It depends on what its preference is, agenda. I believe that these things have their own agenda. Their manifestation period could be longer, though. To me, it's a waiting game. It's waiting until you're down on your worst. It's waiting until you've beaten yourself down mentally and physically, and then it can attach to you. It's just waiting, and who knows how long it's been with her. She says she had other experience at other homes, but this is, to me, is an end result of dealing with certain things that you should not be playing with, as far as the Ouija board, the family's introduction to witchcraft. Her mother on her deathbed, she had this mirror in that room. Her Stephanie's sister's boyfriend is actually into paganism. He believes in the devil and all that stuff. So she didn't have the strength to do much when she was on her deathbed, but all of a sudden, she had the strength to sit up and scream to the top of her lungs, "Evil!" And I'm starting to get a little heavy on my eyes right now.
You can feel in this room. It's thick.
Yeah.
It's dense. I mean,
It's
like it's warm in here. It's chilly. It's not like it's humidity.
It is,
I mean,
and that's another factor too. It got really warm in this house, like extremely hot. But her mother sat up out of that hospital bed, and she yelled, "Evil, evil!" And she tossed that big old metal cup. Mind you, her legs were falling apart. Her body was disintegrating. So to have that kind of energy to sit back up and to call out that individual who's in that room about evil, and this mirror was associated with that death and in that room at the same time, I believe maybe that was the main benefactor to that as well. But I think there was other things following her at the same time as well, just added to the whole collection. Between this door here, there was actually a knife in that wall. Now, whether it was...
Is this the kitchen wall?
This is the wall when you first enter by the entertainment. I will show you. I'll show you the mark. We do not fabricate things. Anybody fabricates things on my team, they're gone. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good of friends we are. That's why when I saw that knife in that wall, I came in here and I basically got a little rough and stern and said, if you're pulling my chain and you're doing this on purpose, I will pack my crap and go home. I don't have time for this. I got other people I could be taking care of. And this is for everybody, not just, but I trust my team. So it's just one of those things where you have to blanket it. So that way nobody else feels attacked either, individually attacked. But by the look in her eyes, Stephanie, the mom, I believed her. You can tell a lot about a person by looking at their eyes and their expressions and their body language. So I believe that she did not do anything, the family members did not do anything. And another thing is we had a little bit of people here that night, so it would really be hard to go ahead and try to do something like that. It's not uncommon for items to end up in positions like that at certain times. Very rare cases, but it happens. Just like when you have poltergeist activity, you know, it's noisy ghosts. So, but not all the time are they noisy. You could walk into a kitchen and all of a sudden the dishes are stacked or the chairs are upside down, and you didn't hear a thing. So it could have been an occurrence of something like that, some kind of poltergeist activity with that, or it could have worked through mom and she didn't realize she was doing something like that. That was the main goal, was to protect mom and Dolores, because we believe that if Dolores got a hold of mom or touched her the wrong way when this thing was in her, that she would be in some big trouble, the mom. And this whole thing to me felt like it was more of an attack to try to get to the mother, because it was all based around the mother. I mean, there's a lot more to this story.
Right.
But it was just been involved in a few things like this. One almost as serious as this. But this one definitely takes the cake. This one is the realest of the real that you can get.
That was one crazy night.
It was a hell of a night, and I'll never forget
And I
it.
can see you guys still are taking a toll
And
now.
then-
Everyone still looks.
And then, like how we mentioned
Deer in
about,
the headlight.
about her with the cat and stuff like that. With that knife, I had what you call a daydream vision or something, to where it was either my throat getting slit or someone on the team's throat getting slit, dealing with that knife. And then the same day, he had a separate one about me bending over somewhere in a certain way and something happening, you know. And it wasn't until that night or the next day when we came back, Dolores was in the salt circle. And she's talking to this thing. And you can hear it in her voice. She goes, I didn't say it. I wasn't here. I didn't do it. And she's pleading with this thing. And then she turns around to me and goes, him. What did you say to this thing? Did you cuss at it? What did you say? And then she goes back and she's talking to this thing again. And then she turns around and she goes, no, I'm not gonna say it. And then you can hear Rob on the video going, Dolores, just say it, what is it? And then she turns around and looks at me and says, that knife in the wall was intended for you. She wasn't even here.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know nothing about anything with that knife. And then, but it was another scare tactic with this thing, trying to make me leave the house. He was doing it with all the males.
Mm-hmm.
All the males. He was pushing our buttons to where he wanted us away from all the females.
Playing with all your minds.
Yeah.
And I told Frank at that point outside, and I'm going to be as genuine as I can, Frank, and you know, I'm very blunt about these things, especially when we deal with this. We have a family to take care of. Mm-hmm. I will not falter. I will not fall to anything. I've never left a case, and I will never leave a case. Now, I may go back to the drawing board and go back and get higher beings if I have to, or heavy hitters, I call them. But we will not falter. And I told Frank, and I almost felt like I was yelling at Frank, but I was just trying to give him like almost just like a speech, you know, a motivational speech to, we cannot falter to this thing in this mirror or wherever's in this house. One, because we lost the battle. In the end, we would lose the battle. In return, if we lose this battle, that family loses. Mm-hmm. And that's not what we're about. We're going to stay until you can knock me down, you can drag us out, you can scratch us, bite us, you know, make us float across the room if you want to. But I'll be damned if you allow that family to get hurt.
Yeah. It tasted for a split second. It did taste victory. I'll admit that. For a split second, whatever's in that mirror tasted victory for a split second. But once we gathered ourselves and came back in the house, and then Pastor Tim showed up, and after that, it basically knew it couldn't do anything. It didn't mess with any of us in the house, emotionally, physically, or anything.
The only time I messed with anybody emotionally was me and Tim.
Yeah.
Tim will tell you that me and him, I'm very calm when it comes to these things. I try not to show my emotions. There were a few times that got me good. But when I got into this bedroom, and Dolores was like, he's in there with you now, hit him. And so the best thing I knew how to do was pray and seal this room with the the holy water, and to anoint these door frames with that oil so it couldn't harm me. But an overwhelming feeling of God and or Jesus came through me, washed through me. And I haven't been to church in a while. This is the first time I've been to a Catholic church in a long time to go pray. And I made sure we did that and we got blessed. So I'm glad we did that beforehand, because I feel like if we didn't, we would have been in some trouble. What happened in this room was a magical and special thing. It is a force that you have no understanding of unless you actually experience it yourself. And when you do experience these things, it allows you to grow with your mind. It grows in your faith, but also grows with the understanding of how to deal with these things. Unfortunately, the way you learn how to deal with these things are to hit them head on. And sometimes the approaches may not be good. Sometimes the approaches may not be correct, but that's why we have a good team and we learn and we go onto the drawing board and keep on. Okay, well, this didn't work. This happened to one of us. But we stuck together as a team and a family, and I think that really pissed it off. But I honestly think that this thing here is an incubus or a succubus. It only attacked the females. It only attacked the females. That's all it wanted. Unfortunately, there was some history shared about this family that Dolores did not even know. There was an R written on this mirror. Now, at that time, we did not get to see whether it was inside or outside the mirror. But all didn't know whether there was an R in there, so I thought maybe it was meant for me. They tried to scare me. But then all of a sudden, the name Richard came out, and it was for her husband, her ex-husband, who there was a lot of sexual abuse in this home, or maybe not this home, but
right.
all together with this family. So when you tied it all together with the sexual abuse, the emotional abuse, the physical abuse, the attacks on the female, and then what was used, through the conduit, Dolores, it made sense. And normally it's hard to identify what you're really dealing with and calling out the names. There was no name associated with it, but there was a general genre set in place with what is in this mirror. She did mention the name, the Ouija board, the name that's normally associated with the Ouija board. Mm-hmm. She's had conversations, and I'll say it was, the Zozo demon. When she told me that, I was definitely fearful, because that means that it doesn't mean that when you close a session on a Ouija board, or you think you close a session, I believe that these demons have the ability to do what they want at that point. As soon as you made contact with those individuals or that thing, it had the enactability to do what it wanted to. So just like if you go to shut that door right there and you shove your foot in the middle of that door, that's you trying to close that session. This thing can say, nope, I'm not allowing that. Or two, the second thing is that thing has already come through the house, or come to you and attached to you or to the house or an item. That way it can get to you. So there was a lot of factors around with the Ouija board, and especially playing with it at the age of 6, and not knowing how to, but you do know how to. Something's guiding you and leading you to learn how to use that board. So there's definitely something, paranormal going on with just that situation alone. Something that drew you to that board, something drew you to use it, and something drew you to how to use it without ever using it correctly.
This thing also took several different forms too.
It did.
We've seen in this home, we've seen in the boys' bedroom, and standing in this doorway right here, we've seen full body shadow men, complete outline of a man. It also took Rob and Erica, also in the kitchen and in here, one night. Saw, what'd you call them?
Pigman.
No, the little dudes.
Oh, it almost looked like a if you look at the old historical pictures or the pictures that are of imps, that's exactly what it looked like. And that didn't worry me too much. I mean, it did, but it didn't. But it made sense of, if you look at the pictures of demonic incubus and succubi, the general picture that you see is that little creature sitting on top of your chest. And to me, that was a form that he wanted me to see, and it made sense of what. And I told Frank that. I said, "That's what it is. That's what it was." And that seeing that thing in that kitchen made more sense of what it was than all the other things we've seen. It's almost like he tried to show us Slender Man. You know, he tried to show us Piggy Guy. You know, we call him the Piggy Guy because I don't know any other name for him. You know, he stayed low. That was his whole job. He would stay low. And then when it was time for him to attack, he'd come up, or intimidate, he'd come up high and stand strong, you know, just like a bouncer. And it was intense. It was definitely something.
Other experiences we had in this room too, when the mirror was in the closet, was I was sitting on the bed, and it was the night the door slammed. Right here on the edge of this bed, it was claws, and you can hear them.
Yes.
Clear as day coming up. And it grazed the tip of my shoe. And then we left the room. Me and this other girl did. And then later that night, I think you heard it.
It was with me and her. Well,
Yeah.
It was with me and her, and this thing was like, all the cats are gone. We left the house, and then all of a sudden, it was. And then you could feel like a little pull, and I'm like, "Are you rubbing your feet on this bed?"
Yeah, I remember that.
And I know you don't have long toenails like that. So it almost felt like somebody was, when you rip a piece of fabric, and it was doing that. It was trying to intimidate you. So it's like, "Hey, I have claws, I could get you." It's hard to see, but I still have visible marks from this thing on my arms. I got one scratch here, and then one back down here.
Yep.
And they were bleeding pretty good.
Mine went away. I had branding. I had
Lettering, yeah.
lettering. I had scratches here. And then on this side of my arm, I had an A that formed here. And I had a Y that formed right here with a gap in between. And this happened the night of when Dolores' body got taken over. And when I drew it out on paper and I added additional letters to it, she was sitting with me when it was happening. And it was like it was spelling her name on my arm, Ashley. The A and the Y came out, and then it started burning really bad, and I put holy water on it and it stopped it. But if I didn't put the holy water on it and I just toughed it out and wait to see what happened, I'm probably sure 100% that her name would have appeared on my arm.
And there was another thing associated with this whole case here, is that we dealt with it before, was a red orb, almost like a laser pointer. And it was so quick, just very rapid.
And you're seeing this in your naked eye.
And every investigator we brought in here, we also brought out outside eyes to see, you know, things that, just to confirm. We knew it was here, but we just wanted to confirm. And on the outside eyes, all these investigators were like, what was that red dot that just flew by? And it started with the son's room, and then moved out into here, and then so it was traveling. It's the route from the son's room to here, to that mirror, to the kitchen. But at one point, this is when it stopped and actually crossed boundaries and went into the living room. And that night, there was a night where we were standing in the living room, and when I say the darkest of the dark that you could ever see, imagine closing your eyes and still being able to see somebody still standing there. That's how dark this thing is. Standing in the living room, and I'm walking, and I literally just, bam, run into this thing. And I said, no. He said, you're not allowed to do that to me. I said, I will not allow you to harm me. And poor mom, she's like, what in the hell is that? I said, this is what you're dealing with. This is what you're facing. I said, this is nothing to be played with. This thing is not to be mocked. This thing is not to be called out. And she had a good understanding at that point, because there was points where they were kind of egging it on, mocking it. And I said, please do not allow yourselves to do that to this thing, because anything that happens after that fact is on you. We're here to help you, but you need to listen to us. So the red orb was seen at another case that we had. And this was Rachel's house. I'll call her name out because she don't care. But the same orb, and as soon as I seen that orb and these scratches come up on me, I was like, I know what we were dealing with. And I'm not gonna lie, at first it scared me. But as I go through these kind of investigations, I guess maybe the fear just stops. No, I'm very open and alert to things that are happening. But throughout the investigations, I really don't intimidate or scare easy, because I don't allow these things to take control of me. I don't allow it to manipulate me. Now, this is the only one that manipulated me a little bit, was my dreams, which scared me because it involved people I cared about, people on my team, people, the family that we're taking care of. When I had a dream that Frank was kneeling down like this in the living room, and it was the same scene. The candles were lit. Dolores wasn't there, and that was the missing the key piece that we were looking for. There was something not right. We couldn't fit the piece to the puzzle. I was like, this case is like a dollar store puzzle. You bought the puzzle, but there's a piece missing, and it pisses you off, you know. And so Frank was sitting there, and then it made all sense when we were there with Dolores and the mother and everything else. It's like, she's the key. She's the piece that we were missing. And it said, Frank is kneeling down right there. Mom's right behind him, like she was. And Dolores is right there. So I said, Frank, get up right now. Get your ass up and go sit down. And Frank, I didn't have to say anything to him. He automatically knew what I was getting to. And it was just crazy. All the dreams, everything that we dreamt about came true. It was manipulating. It was trying to scare us. It was trying to say, I'm bigger and better than you. And so at that point, when the cat died, it was war. I'm sorry. When that cat died, it was war, because the next dream that was after that was the daughter. And I'd be damned, you know, unfortunately it's sad if a cat passes away or an animal passes away. They're part of the family, but we have a bigger and bigger purpose now to protect this daughter, the family, because if one of those links go out, everything's destroyed. The whole family's destroyed. We're destroyed. As far, not as a team, but in general, we've been defeated. And like I said, we do not falter to these kind of things, and we never will. And I'd be damned if I'm going to let something that's in a mirror or a demon or anything like that take control of me or my team or Frank's team or Josh's team. We set the pace. You know, and that's why I want to tell all the investigators is that if you come across something like this, take a minute to think. Take a minute to go to the drawing boards, hold meetings. Don't just rush into it and say, this is what we're going to do and it's going to be successful, because we did a lot of things here that were not successful. But then when we finally put the case all together and took time to realize what we were dealing with, it became successful.
I'm going to wrap this up real quick here, and we'll go back. This is Steve Barcelo from the Cryptozoology Museum. I'm interviewing this team here that's going through this nightmare to help out this family. We're here basically we were going to be removing some items to bring to the museum and store them properly. The mirror here is one of the items. I'm going to cut this video short now, and we'll start another one. We're over 30 minutes on this. All right, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'll be talking to you soon.
This was